This is the state of our culture. All tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. This is a pretty powerful quote written by George Orwell, and it seems fitting in our current state of the culture. Lies, deceit, and distractions. What a time we live in where our voted leaders stand before us, surrounded by eerie red lighting, large podiums, elevated platforms with military on each side, to the chance of useful idiots supporting blindly this communist cancer. What I find myself thinking is our nation is at a pivotal moment. And I believe this is the only point of this speech that I agreed with. We are at an impasse. But the reality I see is much different than the political elite. We will either turn this corner, strip the government of its ability to abuse us, and reframe the republic to restore the rights of the people, or we will further become slaves to a corrupted version of what America was built upon. I watched Biden's speech and analyzed his words closely, and I will be honest, his speech does not surprise me in the least. In fact, this is exactly what I would expect from an illegitimate, repulsive, evil person such as Joe Biden. We have to realize that the speech, the lighting, the positioning, the location are all a play for your mind. Media is never accidental. And what occurred during this speech was all about positioning and soft threats. Stay in your lane. We are your leaders. You will obey our command if you want peace. You have seen that we have been extremely critical of all media on our channel. We've been clear, you must be skeptical of all things that you hear and see. Nothing is accidental in our government and media, and there is an end goal and a play at hand. Each piece of content is designed and fabricated to get a reaction out of you. You are being targeted, and we are being targeted. We've been telling you to be skeptical of everything that you see and encouraging you to speak into everyone that you know. A pendulum is swinging, and it is vitally important that we understand where we are heading. I watched a wicked man standing in front of our nation bastardizing the entire meaning of this republic. He spit in the face of what this nation is, and make no mistake, you are an enemy of this state if you believe in individual liberty above all else. In Biden's words, those of us who are of opposing views to his Communist Manifesto do the following. We fan the flames of political violence. We are a threat to the pursuit of justice. And we are MAGA extreme Republicans. The hell is an extreme MAGA ideology anyway? I wasn't a fan of Trump from the beginning, and I made that abundantly clear as I supported candidates I felt better represented our republic versus Trump. Yet I'm grouped as a MAGA radical because I believe that at America's core, we're great. I'm a radical because I believe that those who abused us over the last 2.5 years should be tried and punished swiftly. I'm a radical because I believe that we as individuals know best how we ought to live our lives. The grand irony is that the more they push this narrative about MAGA radicals, the more that they're going to create. If our nation was truly on the pursuit of justice, the orchestrators of the last 2.5 years would be tried fairly, found guilty, and executed for their crimes against the people of this world. The ruling class should pay the price for their crimes. We used to be just of different beliefs, but of one nation, able to accept a general set of common values. Culture can only exist when there is a set criteria that we all agree to and abide by. Values that we would live and die by. And I'm afraid that this phase of our nation has ended and a new era has begun. Selfishly demanding that others obey the whims of the true radicals is the new normal. And Biden had the audacity to go on to say, we are a nation of hope, unity, and optimism. Do you believe that they intended for this speech to be unifying? Absolutely not. Make no mistake, a line on the playing field is being drawn, and we are demanded to obey with the threat of violence as recourse for when we do not. And I mean not if, when we do not. I look back on my own life at the men who impacted me most, and not a single one of the leaders in my life needed to be violently asserting themselves. In fact, anybody who did was disregarded and had little impact to no impact on those that they wished to lead. I followed because an example was set and respect was earned through action. Is this truly all America has to offer? The brightest, smartest, most free society cannot produce a man that can even complete a coherent sentence.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
We are better than this. Leaders should be articulate. We should be able to inspire and invoke action without threat. People will listen to those who are servant leaders. The political class serves only themselves. Biden also stated that this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. Did you forget the riots in 2020, 2021? Nothing will remove those images from my mind. I clearly remember seeing our cities burning and political leaders encouraging the destruction. Do you remember Chad? Communist scum was allowed to exist on our soil while leaders turned a blind eye to the chaos. Our political leaders are writing the history that they want to tell. Our job has to be to correct the pendulum. Our mission has to be to put the truth of what happened into the public record. What else were the riots over the last 2 years if not politically motivated violence? I remember seeing cars attacked and people shot and buildings burned and innocent people beaten and stabbed and robbed and left for dead. And Biden and the people surrounding him are absolutely in favor of political violence so long as it's on their terms. Is this the nation that Biden and his supporters truly want? And I would argue that it is. This is exactly what they want for our nation. And before you label me just a blind conspiracy theorist, let's take a minute to think about who these political elitists are. These are old, white, rich individuals who have become massively wealthy off the backs of you and I. Their entire existence and their ability to leverage their own massive wealth cannot exist when the republic is corrected. These individuals have sold their souls to gain and maintain power. The political class thrives on this chaos. As you and I sit distracted by the media, they play chess behind closed doors. They convince us that we are enemies so that we continue to vote in who they desire to lead us. You are left, we are right. Deception and division create the distractions they need to continue to roll over us. We do bear responsibility for not holding them accountable. We have agreed to despise those who think differently for the simple reason of we were told to hate them. But at the same time, they rig the game and set the rules to avoid the consequences. Do you think it's accidental that these politicians get into office in their 20s, stay for 50 plus years, amass hundreds of millions of dollars in wealth over the course of their service? And I say service lightly because nobody ever thanked a parasite for sucking their blood out of their body. The political class are parasitic narcissists hell-bent on furthering their wealth and power at all costs. You think they won't just discard you? And I mean literally discard you, end you, turn you into past tense. Look at the third world countries that we have plundered for the causes brought forth by these people. They promise you prosperity, but in return, you are guaranteed suffering. But only if you play by their rules to their game. Why else would they have shut down our nation, poisoned us with fake medicine and cures, discouraged social interaction, threatened us with violence and chaos? You think this government and its minions do this with the intention to create more freedom? If you do, you are a useful idiot. You are a pawn on a chessboard that will be useful until you aren't, at which time you will be discarded. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again, and to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as enemies. Who do you think said that? That was Joe Biden in 2020. My, how the tone has changed from a man promising unity to one positioning himself as the mighty dictator of the fallen states. Hitler, Mussolini, and Mao would be extremely proud of you, Biden. We cannot be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. We have the flame of liberty burning in our souls. So Biden, which part of the flame is burning? The part where we executed tyrants in our nation, where we cut down the government that ruled us? The part where we crossed the Delaware River on Christmas Eve to cut the throats of redcoats and their supporters? The part where we willingly signed our names on a document that guaranteed our status as domestic terrorists who would be hunted by the British Empire? I do believe that the flame of liberty is burning, but it does not burn for those who abuse the rights of the people. This is the antithesis of what this nation ought to be. Look, whether these politicians want to admit it or not, America was founded upon insurrection. We evaded taxes, we destroyed government property, we declared war on the standing army and the government itself. So whether you like it or not, fighting blood runs deeply through our veins, because the only reason we are free is because we rolled up our sleeves and we got our hands dirty for liberty. In the face of chaos, there is much hope. And I believe that the fighting spirit is being revived among our people. I believe that most of you are waking up to what is happening, and I do not believe that it is too late to change course, but I do believe that we are close to a point of no return, and time is of the essence. We are solution focused on our team, and our objective is to remain level-headed and understand what the play is at hand. I wanted to lay out a few points that I believe are objectives of this particular speech. One, the elitists are going to create speeches with fake information to be able to write history as they see fit. They will lie, cheat, steal, and destroy to paint history in favor of their names. Their legacy, in truth, is despicable. What they desire is for their legacy to be written as positive and powerful. Number two, unity is the enemy of control. They want nothing less than unity. Through division, they can conquer our spirits and minds. If we are pitted against each other, we can easily be ruled and manipulated. Number three, they wish to instill fear in those who might oppose what is to come. The red colors, aggressive lighting, and the positioning of the podium, the flag, the symbols all point to this. They desire to anger you. And point four is absolutely critical. Through false words and speeches, they desire to strike a match that ignites you into violence. All sides are guilty of this. Their mission of chaos requires us to react emotionally and play into their hand, which is why our mission is quite different. And let me explain. To anyone wishing to rob us of freedom, I have a few words for you. One, we will not go quietly. We will speak truth no matter the cost. You also will not convince us to despise individual liberty and true freedom. And should you decide to strip us violently of our freedom, we will respond accordingly in defense of our natural human rights. The fighting spirit lives within each of us. We want nothing more than to be able to live in peace and enjoy the rights that we hold as humans, but we are unwilling to be dictated into slavery. And whether or not the USA exists or the Republic someday falls, the rights of the people remain, and we will forever fight to protect the rights of humans in our nation. The Constitution is simply a piece of paper designed to put chains on the government and its officials. It bears no teeth unless the people are willing to put words to action and hold those accountable who abuse our nation. False words and manipulated speeches will not be enough to cripple this nation. Threats of violence against our people will not be enough to cripple this nation. Inside of free Americans beats a spirit that cannot be tamed or removed. It is vitally important that as we see this continued degradation of culture, that we remove ourselves from this chessboard entirely. You might be wondering, how in the world can we do that? And you do so by being the best person you could possibly be. You become independent, you eliminate addictions, you become debt-free, you arm yourself, and you become well-trained. You create a small community of like-minded people. You build a traditional family, have children, and raise them in accordance to our foundational principles. Be willing to sacrifice daily for our freedom. In the face of trials, stand tall as a leader. You owe it to yourself to become the best version of yourself that you can be, and we owe it to those who built our nation to secure freedom for future generations. At all costs and against all odds, our mission must be to secure a republic so that future generations can taste freedom and be free from slavery. The game can only continue if we are determined to play on their board. So rather than let the speech of a frail, spineless, crippled old man stir anger, refocus that energy into positive progress. Let us commit to building a better community of stronger, more resilient, less dependent people. Eat healthy foods. Fill your mind with healthy information. Commit to growing your community and building a group of like-minded families. The American spirit is rooted in our God-given desire to be a part of something more than just ourselves. Our nation does not thrive in selfishness, but in selflessness we see purpose. While the media will continue to try to push you into chaos, remove yourself and refocus your energy. It is not too late to rebel against this weakness and to retake our culture in this country. But in order to do that, we must play a different game, a game of culture and rebuilding. Commit yourself to what this nation was built upon. And to quote Star Wars and tie fiction to reality, our liberty will die with a thunderous applause. If we do not act, if we do not speak, and if we allow ourselves and our emotions to be driven by the wind, this is the state of our culture.